morning. And welcome to Abu Dhabi. Welcome to YLD program. As you know, IDF Young Leaders in Diabetes program has a long tradition. I'm proud and happy to be here with you, with all of you. Some of you are very familiar to me because I met you in different places. I would like to welcome all of you from all different countries, from all different regions, because diabetes has no region. Diabetes has no particular person. Diabetes is everywhere, and you are aware of it. So just very briefly, I will mention the program. And you know that Young Leaders in Diabetes program is one of the core programs of IDF. It was created 2011, and the main objective was to equipping young people to become effective advocates for another people, but also for themselves, to fight against diabetes, and also to empower young people to better support IDF and IDF member associations. As you know, IDF is a global organization. It's a roof organization of all members associations. And we do support and emphasize the importance of your involvement in members associations. I know that sometimes it's not easy, but during this training summit we will try to find a solution how to help you to be more involved in activity of your own associations. As the president of Croatian Society for Diabetes and Metabolic Disorders, we change it a lot, because young people can contribute tremendously. So that's the reason why we are here, to help you and also to get connected all together just for one reason, and that reason is diabetes. On the other hand, while the program is structured in 2 years' time, or 2 years' term. And some of you do remember, because some of you are so-called old young leaders, or young leaders alumni, or whatever we will call you, but you are very experienced young leaders. So that was the reason why we involved you in this program as well, just to help younger colleagues to be more empowered in fight against diabetes, and also to become the young advocates in their own country. But this is not just advocacy program. It's much more than just advocacy. And some of you remember that it was meeting in Dubai 2011. Another meeting was in Melbourne 2013 and in Vancouver 2015. This meeting is here in Abu Dhabi, and I would like to welcome you on behalf of IDF Young Leaders in Diabetes program here in Abu Dhabi. Next meeting, next training summit will be in Busan in South Korea. These are objectives of the program. But I would like to ask you just to stop me. This is not the ex-cathedra lecture. It's not a talk which I will be here and you will be there. I don't like that. I'm also a professor at the University of Zagreb, and I don't like lectures like that. Because, and especially during this program, we would like to include you, we would like to involve you just to help us. And maybe you will have another objectives which you would like to have in your program. From that perspective, our objectives were and still are to meet people with diabetes from all around the world. Also to learn about their realities. In this moment we have a completely different situation. We have a situation in Western Europe, where in Western Europe people with diabetes can have CGM, modern technology, insulin pumps. But can you imagine that in some part of the world, in some regions, people are still dying because of lack of insulin, lack of medication. So we have to combine all these things. And we have to have a specific approach to different regions. And you can help us. We know for our region, even for our region, I cannot say that I know everything. You know, for example, in the last few years I was involved in many IDF activities. And as a president of society, I was involved in many negotiations with authorities. For example, in my country, now we are trying to get CGM fully reimbursed. In our neighboring countries, and I recognize few people from neighboring countries, it's completely different situation. In one of our neighboring countries, can you imagine, there is no test strips at all, even for kids. So from that perspective, we are here to learn from you, to learn what is important for you in your regions, and all activities should be focused on that. Should be focused on your local priorities, in your local current situation. Also, to learn from the experience YLD mentors. Later on, we will explain you about new governance structure, also about new terms like young leaders in diabetes candidate, and also graduate and mentors. All of you can become YLD mentor, and we will explain you how to become that. On the other side, we have to provide attendees with basic knowledge. Maybe somebody will say, I don't need to listen about insulin treatment. But maybe you know everything about insulin. But in some other region, there is no insulin like that. Maybe you know everything about CGM. But maybe your colleague from other country or other region know only few things about CGM or insulin pumps. So we have to cover general medical topics. But also, we will emphasize the importance of advocacy. How to develop, implement, and evaluate projects. It's not important just to prepare some projects, but it's important how to apply for that project, how to get money for that project, and also how to evaluate this project. And we have very experienced people here, from Canada, from South America, from Europe, from different regions, and they have lots to say to you and to share their experience. On the other side, we will try to develop together Young Leaders in Diabetes regional plan and action plan for the next biennium. Because if you will tell me, in my country, in my region, we have the biggest problem because of lack of insulin. People are dying there because of lack of insulin or lack of medicine. In that case, we should focus on that. In some other countries, you will say, oh, the biggest problem is we don't have insulin pumps. Okay, if it's realistic, let's do how to provide insulin pumps for kids, for vulnerable, for young adults, for young women who would like to become pregnant. So we have to discuss different regional plans. On the other side, in this moment, we have approximately 60 people from 7 different regions. The regional plan was to have more than that, but unfortunately due to visa issue, especially from MENA region, they couldn't join us. But they will be able to join us throughout media, because this project and this training summit will be filmed, and also we will have webinars and online trainings, what could be important for people who are not able to join us on those training summits. So just to say that YLD program, 2 years, around 130 people in biennium with continuous education. On the other side, every 2 years during the conference, IDF conference, we have Young Leaders in Diabetes Training Summit like this one. Previously it was different, but now we change it, and you will have time even to go for some topics, to hear some topics on the conference, and you will be able to speak and to communicate with other people from your region or from different regions all around the world. On the other side, we have one-off education on key topics, and I would like to emphasize that YLD program is not just education. It's much more than just education. YLD program is much more than just advocacy. But all together, we can do a lot. Also, what we would like to emphasize, the importance of networking. And that was the reason why we asked you not to be located as a region. Later on, I would like that completely change the location within the tables. Because it's important to say, okay, you are from Europe, but why all European people or African people or South American people will be together? You should communicate all together, and we will have, when we will prepare and when we will have a workshop regarding regional action plan and regional plan for next biennium, in that case, you will be together. Otherwise, try to communicate, and especially you are all young people. You are good in social media. We will emphasize the importance of social media. We will have workshops on it, and also we will try to be online and to post many different things. But later, Beatrice from the office, she will explain you regarding Instagram and some other social media, Facebook, because we have to clarify that it's very important that to be on the safe side. If anybody is not comfortable with filming, should say that. You will get one paper, one document which you should sign, that you agree that your presentation, your workshop, or all this training summit will be filmed and also will be available to other young people with diabetes. And just for the end, of course, we couldn't do that without IDF. Because this is one of the core programs of IDF. And IDF supported us. I heard lots of murmurs and lots of different perspectives. But this program is not supported directly by pharma companies. It's supported by IDF. And I would like to thank Professor Radikot, who is right now immediate past president of IDF, for his great support of this program. Without him, and without President-elect, who is from yesterday evening, current president of International Diabetes Federation, without their help, we couldn't succeed. People from YLD committee, they know we face it with many different problems, but we resolve it with the support of those two people, and also from people from the IDF office. And also, I would like to thank also the pharma companies, and as you could see, we will have free advocacy program from those three companies. It will not be about their products. It will not be about their promotional education. It will be only education regarding advocacy. And you had a question? Yes, please.
Are those 130 young leaders that were not coming here, they will have the opportunity to come to the next training, or they are only be young leaders for that in media?
Later on, we will have one short presentation. What does it mean, young leader candidate, young leader graduate, young leader in diabetes mentor? So you know that young leaders in diabetes program includes young people with diabetes between 19 and 30 years. After 30 years, they can be involved in many other activities of IDF. It can be advocacy activity or advocacy program, Blue Cycle Voices, but also Beatrice will explain you all those changes within our governance structure and how to become young leaders graduate, candidate, graduate, and young leader mentors. Okay? So For the end of my introduction, I would like to welcome you again to join our program. From this Abu Dhabi meeting, we will change also the procedure how somebody can become young leader in diabetes candidate. But we need your support, we need your input, because together we are much stronger, and together we can change this program and we can rebuild this program to become one of the most important programs of IDF. And now I would like to take opportunity to kindly ask Professor Radikot to address his words and also to welcome our program on behalf of IDF Global.
Morning. First of all, welcome to all of you, and let me tell you a little bit about myself. Forget the fact that all this IDF thing that we can discuss later. I had type 2 diabetes, then I had cancer, and now I have type 1 diabetes. Okay? So the point really is I can well understand what many of you all are going through. But I want to ask you all, why do you think you all are here? Can somebody answer? Why are you all here? You have a mic here? No, for example, if I were to ask you, why are you in this program? I mean, why are you in Abu Dhabi right now? Okay, the weather is good, but you really want to sit in this hall and listen to people, stupid people like us? No. You'd rather go out, and there's a new museum called the Lord's Museum, which has just started, which I'm sure all of you must have seen on your Facebook accounts. So tell me, why are you all here?
To learn how to help people with diabetes.
I agree. Anybody else? You all must learn to shout so that you can be heard without any mic.
First, to help us each other to learn how to control us, and then help others to control and educate the kids and the young people, or not yet so young, living with diabetes.
Okay, but see, basically the whole point really is this, that yes, you all have type 1 diabetes. That's accepted. That you all need, I'm sorry, most of you all have type 1. Anybody with type 2 diabetes here? Okay. So basically, the point is you need to, that you all take insulin. I don't know, I take 4 shots a day. You all might be on pumps or something like that. I have no idea what kids do these days. The people who treat me, although I am a doc also, the people who treat me think I'm too old to even understand anything about pumps. So, just take the insulin shots and keep quiet. And the friend of one of my doctors is sitting here at this table. He tells me the same thing, but doesn't matter. So tell me one thing. Basically, you all are here, you have type 1 diabetes. Remember one thing, while having any problem, you would want to sort of learn how to manage it yourself. I mean, manage and have a good control of your diabetes. Remember that is not the end purpose of the YLD program. The YLD program really is something that you all have to do for the people with type 1 diabetes, first in your region, in your country, in your region, and then hopefully come up with some plans which will help people all over the place. Advocacy is important, I agree, entirely agree. Because remember one thing, that in some countries, let me just give you an example. Years back when I started my practice, when I was a registrar in medical college, insulin was available. But remember at that time, 80% of India, I'm from India, lived in rural areas. And our definition of a rural area is a population less than 5,000 people. 70% of them had no electricity. So even if I sent somebody a vial of insulin or 2 vials of insulin, how would they store it? Considering, look at the temperatures in India. Suppose it happened to you today. You were in a place where suddenly all the lights went off and wouldn't come back for 6 months. What would you do? How would you store your insulin? Anybody? Put it in water. Well, I would give you just passing marks if I were your teacher, but not totally good marks. See, the point is, you put it, suppose you take this, fill it with water, and put the small vial or whatever inside, it won't stay. Okay? It won't, because the temperature will go up. What we did, and that was my first paper that I wrote of the 300, 400 papers I published. The first thing is, in rural areas, especially in Africa and India and many of these places, they store water in earthen pots. You know what an earthen pot is? Not made of plastic and not made of anything of metal, but made of, frankly made of sand and mud. And you store water there. Now if you had put your insulin inside there, it would remain potent for at least 6 months. Because what happens is that in spite of the heat, or maybe because of the heat, the water evaporates from the sides of the pot and the water remains cool. And that's why your insulin would not go. So these are some of the things that we've gone through, like, okay? And I think these are things that you all have to also learn. Remember one thing, you are not here at YLD just to care for yourself, please. That has never been the concern of YLD. That, oh, I'm there, the world owes me a living, or the world owes to look after me. I'm sorry, those days are gone. The world doesn't owe anybody anything. You have to see to it that you get the best out of your life. That is very important, okay? So, that is the thing. Now, how would you do that? For example, let me say one thing. We talk in terms that advocacy is not important, but I think advocacy is very important also. Because remember one thing, that the amount of advocacy that you do in many countries today, and I'll tell you another example. I was treating 3 health ministers of India for their diabetes. One person's wife's diabetes, whatever it is. And I kept telling them, this was not about type 1, but this was about type 2. And I kept telling them about, the importance of lifestyle. And what one health minister whose wife and himself I've looked after for 20 years told me, he said, Shaukat, whatever you say is absolutely perfect. We agree with you completely. My problem is that it'll cost a lot of money. Okay, India can spend that money. But the results will be seen after 25 years. And I've got an election after 5 years. So I have to do something that will give me some votes, not something that will benefit people 25 years from now. But as people together, coming together of type 1, and not only you, I would say your parents, your friends, your family, everybody, coming together and forcing the government that at least see to it that insulin is available, don't tax the insulin. We used to have a taxation on insulin of 35%. Until I got one of my friends who was a member of parliament to get up and ask the health minister, who also knew that he would be asked this, saying that how many people in the parliament have diabetes? So about out of 500, maybe 200 said they have got diabetes. Okay. How many of you take insulin? About 75 take insulin. So he said that, okay, he said, I don't take insulin, you take insulin, but because of you're a member of parliament, you get everything free. Right? Why should somebody on the road, outside, have to pay so much duty? And the duty, believe me, came down from 35% to 5%. So this is what your advocacy is all about. It's not about, I'm going to go for a 5-mile walk and therefore I'm going to show that it can be done. Of course it can be done. My point about the YLD, remember people, is that the days when just because you told somebody that I've got type 1 diabetes, that you got a lot of sympathy from the whole world are finally getting over. Today the whole point is you have to learn to live an almost normal life with your type 1 diabetes. Don't expect favors. You will get favors, of course, from your friends and everybody else, but don't expect favors. Also remember one thing, you all have to consider one thing, and that is the fact that maybe you all are in a better position than a lot of other people. Today in the whole world, believe me, there are supposed to be 1 million children with type 1 diabetes. And in India, there's supposed to be about 300,000. India has a population of 1.3 billion, okay? And do you mean to tell me that we only have 300,000 type 1 children? The problem that is occurring is that a lot of children are dying without being even diagnosed. And I think this is where a lot of your advocacy, a lot of your power comes in. Yes, learn to look after yourself, but learn to think that there are others who are worse off than you all are, and try to do something about them. And that is what, according to me, what the YLD program is. It is not about an individual person, it is about all of you. And I now count myself in, considering that I am type 1 also. It's about all of us working together to make sure. We had 20 years back, we started a program called Life for a Child. I don't know how many of you know it. But the motto of that was, no child shall die because of lack of insulin. And I think this is the thing. Diagnosis, early diagnosis, so that people know that they have type 1 diabetes. 2, remember to, in your advocacy and wherever you do, spread the thing that there is this misconception. In fact, I just had a big fight with the WHO and changed their whole website, and had them change their whole website on diabetes, because they put down diabetes, 90% of it can be prevented with lifestyle management. I said, you haven't heard of type 1 diabetes. And to say that 90% of it can be prevented is really not right as far as type 1 is concerned, because you know that it's not true. So finally they changed it. They apologized. They said, thank you very much. But the problem is that if the WHO can do this, can you imagine what is happening in most of our countries? People do not know what type 1 is. People do not know that it is not the fault of y'all that you have type 1 diabetes. It happens. Okay? So spread the knowledge of what type 1 is. Simple things like that. That look, it is not because we were just eating away McDonald's or French fries all the time, but it is because it happened. One of these days, hopefully a cure will come about, in which case maybe 50 years from now, all of you all will get together and smile and shout and laugh at the fact that type 1? What's type 1? Come on, nothing. There's no type 1 diabetes. Hopefully that will happen. Just like today, it's happened with polio. It's happened with a lot of other things which at one time were massacred people. Today people say, oh, come on, nothing happened. So that is what I want you all to learn from this. I want you all to go back, take up, work with your member associations, work with the other groups, find people in your area, in your country, in your region who have type 1 diabetes, work as together with them. Think of a plan that will work and that will help spread knowledge and also push the governments and everyone else into doing something for type 1 diabetes. That is very, very important. Remember that. Because when you do it, definitely people have to listen. People cannot not listen. Most of the people in this world are still basically decent people and they would try to do something. But don't have the attitude that I'm going to lay back and the world must come around looking after me. That's not going to happen. So learn about your type 1 diabetes, learn what to do about it, but as importantly, people understand that there are lots and lots of children who are much more poorer than you, who live in countries and areas where there is practically no access to anything. At least spread some simple knowledge to them through your doctors, through your association and everything, and take up one project which may be very useful to you in your countries or in your region. Remember, what might work, for example, in India might not work, say, in your country, because we are different countries. Okay? But the point is, you all are living there, you know what will work, you know what is required, you know what should be done, and therefore join hands with people and do it. Today, all of you, I don't know, must be on, what is it now? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, some gram, Snapchat, whatever it is, right? I have no idea because I have a difficulty in looking at my Facebook photo also. But the point is, use social media, use these things, put the pressure and continue pushing the pressure. And remember, your knowledge or whatever you all are doing for the YLD does not end on Friday. It has to go back and do it. Work with your member associations, think of projects. Remember, the IDF, the member association, the regions, all of us are here to help you all out. But you have to tell us, rather than me telling you, okay, I think this is something that you should do, when it may have no relevance to you or your country or whatever it is. You tell us what to do. We're willing to listen. We've got the ears. Hopefully, minds are still working. But then the point is, tell us what to do. Tell us what you think will work, and we will be able to do something about it. That's my point. Okay? Well, I'm not going to take too much of your time because I'm going to bore you in the afternoon also again. So I will stop now. But I would love to hear from you all what you all think about the YLD, what you think, any ideas that you all may have. Please. Anyone? Yes. Shout.
Sorry, I kindly ask you when you ask a question, just stand up and introduce yourself, and later on we will introduce all pillars, but Professor Sadiko cannot know from which region you are, what is your background. So just introduce yourself, stand up and ask the question, because it will be much easier for other people. Yes,
No, you don't have to stand up or anything. Just shout. Okay. He's the boss. He's the boss.
Hi, my name is Johanna. I'm from Philippines. You can call me Jaco. So it's interesting that you mentioned about working with the government to provide, like, since I'm from Philippines, we are third world, so accessibility to medication is one of the greatest problem. And it's true that if we want to affect worldwide, I mean, like Philippines as my country, then government plays an important role. So as a young leader, I have the heart and desire to work with the government, but sometimes that I find that difficult. And reality is, that's what I want to, how to affect change when you are dealing with the government. How do you propose and then make it happen?
See, I'll tell you one thing. The best way that I have found, it's all right if your father or mother happens to be the Prime Minister of the country, then you have enough access to it. Unfortunately, no, we don't have that access to it. But it is very often today, in India, I can tell you, it is social media, it is the newspapers. Therefore, you might not be able to do it. Join hands with others and the member associations from your country and push it. That helps, because when it keeps going, and it's not that if you say, yeah, I want access to medicines, tomorrow it's going to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It may not happen in a year's time. But people will listen. And politicians are frightened also. That if too many people keep talking about access to medicine and why is it not happening when you have money to blow up some missiles or whatever it is, then things will change. And it's not going to change tomorrow in the sense nobody's going to start delivering 1,000 vials of insulin outside everybody's house. That's not going to happen. But that is one way to start doing it.
And it was a very good question, if I may comment. You asked a very important question, and that's the reason why we are here. We will share our experience. I will share later. I will share my experience from my country, and don't think that only one person cannot do a lot. Any single person can do tremendous work. It's not easy. There is always obstacles, but still you can do a lot. And that's the reason why we will share our experience and we will learn how to help other people with diabetes. You had a comment?
Okay, I'm Yamurai from Zimbabwe, and I think ever since I joined the YLD program, I realized one thing: people listen to young people. So your governments, people, big people listen to young people. When I started off, I was writing diabetes articles for a newspaper. I still am. I don't have much resources, so that in itself was something big. I wrote to my Ministry of Health, and they responded, and I'm working with them now. So that's a way you can start working with your government. You can start engaging.
See, I entirely agree. The thing really is this: that there is not going to be any one way by which you can influence anybody, or the government or anybody. But you have to keep trying, and maybe there is something. For example, you might have a health minister who doesn't even read newspapers. So then it doesn't help. But he's got people around him who read newspapers and will keep saying, "Hello, people, let's look at this." People are talking about it. So that's what I'm saying. Like I said, we're not going to change the whole world overnight, but we have to start doing something. And remember, don't only think of doing something for yourself. Think also, and I will, when I end, I will tell you a story my father told me at one time before he passed away. And I'll tell you, it will make a lot of sense to you. Any other points?
And also after this training summit, you will have the opportunity to use this platform, this group, for acting locally.
See, I would also suggest to Dario that we have online platforms run by the IDF. There's something called a Blue Circle Voices. You all can join in. It's got a forum for discussion. You can put in your questions, you can put in your thoughts, you can put in your whatever your solutions are. See, very often the solutions don't have to come from old people. You may know this is the problem and this is the solution. So discuss it. Maybe somebody else say what problem somebody is facing in Shaukat in South America region might have already been solved by somebody in say the Philippines or something. And voice is loud enough. Okay, okay. No, because in school, nowadays kids don't get thrashed, but we used to get thrashed by our teachers. So what we learned was before you started thrashing, you start shouting, so that they don't thrash you too much. Yes.
My name is Diana. I'm Mexican. My idea, what I think that I'm doing here is that I take care of myself. I have the knowledge, but I don't know how to influence positively in people. Even if in my city I have government contacts, I would like to learn from you how to influence in them, to give us support. It's what I would like to learn from you.
Well, that's part of the training. And one, you have a problem, of course you must look after yourself, that's very important. At the same time, look after others who may not always be able to know everything. So think of what might work there. I have too many friends in Mexico, all in the member association. So catch hold of them. I don't know if you know a lady called Gisela Ayala. Yeah, catch hold of her, tell her my name, and tell her, help out. She's an old friend of mine.
Okay.
A very old friend of mine. She bullies me all the time, but that's okay.
Thank you very much for all your comments or your questions. Professor Radikot.
Now I'll come back in the afternoon, but let me again tell you one thing. Remember that we have a major problem in front of us. not only about type 1 diabetes but about type 2, but let's concentrate for you all on type 1 diabetes. Okay? The problem is the road ahead very easy? No, it's not easy. It is not something that tomorrow overnight, well, miracles do happen, but tomorrow overnight everything is going to disappear and nothing is going to be there. But remember one thing, that diabetes is not something that we are treating. Diabetes, frankly, is something that we almost have a war against. And we have to fight it. And it's a bad thing. Let's be very frank about it. And bad things happen. I mean, I always thought Einstein said this, but then my daughter, who can tell me anything and I have to listen, says, Papa, you can't understand simple things. How will you understand what Einstein ever said? So I kept quiet after that. But in any case, Einstein once said that bad things happen, not because of bad people. Bad things happen because good people are not willing to come together and fight it. And you are all good people. Come together, try and fight type 1 diabetes. And remember, it is not only about yourself. Like I was saying, what my father used to say, he was a small-time person who worked with Mahatma Gandhi when India was fighting for its independence. And one of the things Mahatma Gandhi always used to tell his followers is that when thinking of doing something, think of the most poor and the most vulnerable person you know. And if what you are doing is going to bring a small smile to the face of that person, then that must be done irrespective of the cost, irrespective of the hard work, and irrespective of the time it takes. And I think all of us are good people. Think of all our, not only of ourselves, but think of the poor and the vulnerable with type 1 diabetes and what can we do to make their lives better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Radikot.
I am running to another meeting.
Yep. Professor Radikot will join us when he will introduce.
I'll give you my email in the afternoon. Anytime I can do something to help or whatever it is, just make it.
Okay, thank you very much. And he will.
answer my ways unless unlike some people
Professor Radikot will join us for IDF School of Diabetes this afternoon, and he will join us for a dinner this evening shortly.